Hey, what's up, guys and gals? My name is Rick Nineg. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the television show Bewitched. Now, I'm about as surprised as you are that I am covering this show. I thought I would never really watch it or get into a show because as a little kid, I never really liked or watched the show. I watched I Dream of Jeannie and the others that I've covered, but a lot of you have been suggesting it to me, and I actually didn't like it in the first run or the first watch of several episodes. So I kind of gave up on it, but now I went back to it and I started to really enjoy it. So I want to talk about this. In fact, the pilot episode for Bewitched, it's from season 1. It's of course episode 1. It's called I, Darren, Take the Switch, Samantha. Now, are you a fan of the show? Let me know down in the comments below if you want to see more of Bewitched. Also, hit the thumbs up button to let me know. And in this episode, we're going to talk about a tragedy that essentially messed up the entire running of the beginning of this show. It was quite shocking when it happened, and I'll tell you all about it. But first, in this episode, we hear about Darren and Samantha and essentially their love story. They had a quick courtship, and they are on their honeymoon. However, Samantha has not told her new husband that she is a witch. Now, Samantha's mother, boom, shows up with her witchy ways, and she finds out about the marriage because of the honeymoon. Now, she is against her daughter's marriage to someone who isn't a witch, essentially a mortal, but believes she needs to tell the husband, Darren, the truth. And Samantha does this. She needs to do a demonstration of her powers for her to make sure that Darren believes her that she is a witch. Now, Darren is completely shocked. He almost faints, in fact. Let's just say he does faint. But for him, it doesn't make a difference really after the initial shock wore over. But he just wants her to kind of not do any witchcraft anymore. Now, Samantha agrees, but it's put to the test when she and Darren invited to a dinner by Darren's old girlfriend. I don't know about this premise, by the way. I don't even know why he would agree to do this, but essentially he did. Now, this woman's name was Sheila, and essentially Samantha becomes very jealous, and Sheila makes Samantha feel uncomfortable and even inferior to her. But Samantha is, the keen one here, and she gets the last laugh in this episode. But when they were making this episode, there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes. For one thing, Elizabeth Montgomery, who did play Samantha, was pregnant at the time of this episode, and she did have a bit of a belly because the character herself was not supposed to be pregnant. I mean, she was just on her honeymoon. Think of how scandalous that would have been in 1964. They cleverly try to hide her bump in many different ways, hiding her behind different objects, as well as wearing special clothes that would hide her bump to make you believe, of course, that she was not pregnant in terms of the character. And so this was very important, and they had to get really creative to do this. Now, what was even more shocking and tragic at the time was that they were supposed to do rehearsals for this episode on November 22nd, 1963. Now, I know to some of you that may ring a bell, and that is because that was the day of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And so what happened? Well, it blew shockwaves into the whole United States and even the world. You all know that Gilligan's Island essentially was delayed, the filming of the pilot and so forth, and similarly for Bewitched. Now, because the rehearsals were supposed to begin November 22nd, 1963, they had to pause all that, and they had to postpone the rehearsals and essentially do them much later. What that did is essentially push the episode back a bit, so that finally when the episode did come out, it came out and it finally aired September 17th, 1964. So yes, that tragic event not only disrupted the lives of Americans, but it disrupted a lot of things like essentially television, movie production, and so many other things as well. If you go back and look at my Gilligan's Island video, I talk about how the Kennedy assassination also disrupted a lot of the filming of the show as well. And why else was this so difficult, so personal, and so tragic? Well, the event itself was, but you have to remember, Elizabeth Montgomery at this time was married to William Asher. Now, that name may or may not seem familiar to you, but he was the director of a lot of the greatest I Love Lucy episodes ever. In fact, he directed the entirety of Bewitched. Essentially, he was a producer as well, but he was essentially a director, not credited for it. But essentially, he was really good friends, along with Elizabeth Montgomery, of John F. Kennedy. In fact, they and Frank Sinatra planned the 1961 inaugural ball. And so this event wasn't just horrible for everyone, but it hit them really personally. So it made everything so much more difficult. Now, did you know about this, and were you shocked as well when you found out all these little tidbits about this episode? I'd love to know your thoughts down below. What do you think of this show? Do you want to see me cover more of it, go into different episodes, deep dive into classic TV as I usually do? Well, if you do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's a free way to support my channel, and it really, really, truly helps out for me to continue doing what I love to do. We'll see you all next time. Don't forget, everyone, to always remain positive, always better yourself, and most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you to all my supporters, especially my Diamond tier patrons: Russ C, Sally N, Vito L, Citizen Kane 359, David D, Jerry D, Jennifer P, and Kevin K. If you want to join this list and be a patron supporter, it does help out so much, and I thank you ahead of time.